we are covering Python in GIS. Python, it's a Python day actually for GIS Fellas. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So today it's Python day for Geo Fellas. You know, we tend to cover different tech skills, and at least the beauty of this thing is that these tech skills are more transferable to various domain, or also help in the efficiency of your work, especially in just geo stuff. Okay, yeah. If someone is kindly unmute yourself, please. So today we'll be having mainly three presenter. I'm just like an add-on. So the main focus will be on Nombu. She'll introduce herself during our session, and basically it's just Nombu has got a quite wide experience in both geosoftware engineering, I can say data engineering kinda, and also more towards data science. So I think today she's covering more of data science stuff, if I'm not wrong. Hosea is also a great person doing geo software development. So he's doing JS and some programming. So he will cover Django. Okay. Then Steve Fasek is an all-round guy, mostly doing remote satellite, remote sensing stuff, and also software engineering stuff. Sadly, he's in the field. Hopefully, he'll be able to make it on time because it's not in Kenya right now. Yeah, and just about me, I try to make this community active. Yeah, and we share knowledge. Okay. And definitely about you guys, the Geo community, this won't be possible without you, and I really appreciate for creating the time and being here to want more to learn. At least you know when you see someone is willing to learn, is when you're also willing to share. But if you don't see people interested in learning where the trends are going, then it's tough to just come out and share knowledge when you're not even sure you have the right audience in mind. Okay. And so basically today it will just be about the intro. So I'm just going to take like less than 5 minutes to cover an intro on how it's going to be. Then we are going to have presentations, which right now it's Nombu and Hosea. I might later on tackle some other things at the end if there's enough time. Okay, and then we'll have discussions and QA, and then definitely any other business and resources are usually shared on on the WhatsApp group. So the thing is, make sure that these sessions are not really to make it's more of an overview to give you okay, these are the stuff that we can kind of do, blah blah. It won't be able to cover enough, but it's to get you excited and to dive deep. And the resources that we usually share, it usually enables one to go deeper if you want to. Okay, so it will depend on an individual decision and choice and what. So it's just for us as an enabler to make you that, and also to share problems and help you solve if you get stuck on something. That's the main purpose. So why Python and also in GIS? So basically, it has got a large community. Python is right now number 2, right? It's the most in-demand programming language after JavaScript. It was initially number 3, but it overtook Java. Multi-purpose, you can use it in various areas from website development to automating your tasks to data science, analytics, whichever you think about, right? Third reason, it has got great libraries and frameworks, tons of them that at times we tend not know or how many exist out there. Especially, you just tend to bump into some. They usually definitely popular ones, but yeah, you will get to work with them as you get along. And then in company is usually fast productivity. That one really matters. So for example, if you have like 1,000 satellites or you want to do a clipping than doing manually, you can just write a script, clip every satellite using this shape file, blah, blah. And that's like an example. And it's a quick process, which is also leads to fast automation. So also another reason for fast productivity is that it's easy to pick language and easy to write. Like if you write, for example, in C++ versus Python, it will be easier to write to generate a prototype faster in Python. So that's like why you see, for example, companies like Tesla, even though they use C++ mostly, most of the prototypes they do in Python. Then they, after seeing okay, this is how it works, they translate it to C++ for speed. But that is because they focus on embedded system. But for GS folks, Python is usually enough in most companies. Okay. Then definitely transferable to other domains. Definitely when you have like Python, you can say, yeah, I'm going to for data science, I'm going for backend, I'm going to do data engineering, I'm going to do it's unlimited. We're going to do quant right now. If you know maths, there's about quant where you kind of help ventures and investment and stuff. So it varies. And so today basically we'll be looking just some small set components of it. And thanks to a lot to Nombu and Hosea and Steve for coming out on this. And then definitely and the community, because definitely during discussions, if you're not presenting and you've used it to do something, you can share your knowledge too. And yeah, we just try to keep it as brief, share a little bit, then after that we can easily share resources. Okay. And programming is usually not that complex. You usually need to know some key fundamental data types. For me, I usually break it down to like what you see on this 9 stuff, a list like variables, print, segment, input, comments, data types, operators, data structures. All this, if you went through we initially shared the video of 1 to 9. If you went to the shared video, you can always understand this. If you understand these key foundation building block, then you can easily dive into frameworks and libraries and start choosing your path. But it's with Python, it's not as complex as it will be shown. Yeah, so that's example of resources. More will be shared on domain specific, but yeah, the Koreskefa channel is usually great. There's CS Dojo and Amigos Code, Take with the team, automate the boring stuff with Python. It has got a book and a website. Just if you go to automate the boring stuff with python.com, it's usually great and an interesting platform. So for example, there's this thing I initially shared where if you Google like a software engineer who lost his job for automating the tasks, yeah, because there's someone who like automated his tasks and lost and stopped programming. He just usually went to the company to sit for 6 years until he forgot programming. So I don't encourage you to do that. If you find you have outgrown your company, you better move to another company so that you can be able to kind of build up yourself and grow or reuse a new tech stack, right? Because these things usually happen. Let me see if I can share the screen. Yeah. For example, this programmer fired after 6 years, realizes he doesn't know how to code. Because the thing is, he automated his job and it was he never did serious work after that. Like he was just there sitting here, ready to just claim he automated his job for 6 years. Finally, is fired. Forgets how to code, blah blah. So yeah, there's various many limits you can do to help to do this kind of stuff. And yeah, so programming is just a tool to enable you. And I think that's it for the main intro. So I just give it to Nombu for the next. Can say since Fasek you're not sure, like Fasek being around maybe 30 minutes plus or 30, then Hosea, then we can do some discussions and stuff. So Nombu, are you ready?
Yeah. So I'm not going to do. Oh wait. Host disabled attendee
Oh
screen.
yeah, sure. Let me enable that. Thank you. Okay.
Mhm.
Sure. It's now enabled. You can share your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to keep it very brief.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm repurposing some slides. and also promoting my platform as always. So yeah, I'm Nombu. Yeah, as Pondi told you, I'm a Python programmer. I've been in the space of software development and now in data science. I really kept it simple. I didn't know if I was to delve so much into the data science of it, but I think we'll have a really nice discussion on just how we can go further into Python for geospatial data science. And yeah, so, and also I'm the research and development lead at Women in GIS. If anyone is interested in finding out more about Women in GIS, as usual, I will always touch on it like towards the end of this session, just a bit. So for me, I was tasked with giving like a very basic overview of Python for beginners and why most people have taken this up and why it's still a viable option despite some of the advantages and disadvantages that will tackle it. So like you all know, or I hope you all know that Python is an actual programming language and not whatever is on the screen. I thought that would be an interesting icebreaker. So yeah, there's an introductory class on Python programming there, and that's what we're delving in today. So yeah, it's high level. It's an interpreted language, general purpose, and it was created by that guy. By the way, he's joined Microsoft.
Yeah,
I saw he
Windows.
joined. Yeah. So he created this language, and for those of you who have not dealt with the lower level functional languages like C++ and C Sharp, Python is really easy. Like it's a really easy to uptake. It's like English. Like I always say, if you know English, you know Python, because it's usually like eyes in or have you know, like as in it basically sounds like English. So, and that's why we're talking about it being in an interpreted language. uh so being that it's an interpreted language, obviously one of the key advantages is how portable it is, how simple it is, how embeddable it is. But then the same strengths that have taken Python to be uptaken across various fields and various companies are some of the disadvantages that work against Python. And when we're talking about big data and we're talking about GIS, because GIS, we are very comfortable in big data sets, we need to know how we can circle around some of those disadvantages. So some of the disadvantages of Python is its speed limitation, memory consumption, and the design restrictions. It has a very, well, I don't want to say rudimentary, but its SQL layers are not well developed. So Python usually has to have wrappers to be able to interface or interact with SQL or such kind of database languages. And then another thing is when we're talking about it being a high level language, it means that whatever we're writing in English, when we say like, if you have a list and you have like dog, cat, fish, fish is in that list, like it's English, but then all of that has to be interpreted into the lower level language for the machine to understand and execute the program. So then that also takes a lot of memory consumption, and it also impacts on the speed. So like those are the main advantages and disadvantages I can highlight for Python. And now that we are aware of that, we need to be able to understand like how do we move forward, or like how are we able to take advantage of the opportunities that Python present, and how do we be able to scale up or still make use of Python even though it has all of these advantages. Because obviously, even though it has all of these advantages, there are companies out there like Netflix, and even where I work at Grow and Google and AWS, all of them using Python as their core stack language. So there are definitely ways to work around its limitations. So for anyone getting into Python, for me, these were the tools. Like if I would be asked, like you're trying to get into Python, what environment you want to familiarize yourself with, what resources you want to be able to uptake quickly. I've divided it to like three main things that you usually need. and that's one, the resource, the main resource. I've always been biased towards documentation. I know we always talk about that that joke, that the meme that nilifika hapa na Stack Overflow, or Stack Overflow is your programming partner. But I think when you move trying to move professionally into programming, I would my recommendation would be to move more into understanding the documentation and being very comfortable in using the documentation as your first resource, because you're able to not only understand how something is executed, but what are the design specs that went into why a certain function is executed this way, and what are the functions and the limitations, and what are its progressions through the versions. Like, you can be able to look at a function, and then it links you to all the different versions of that function that have gone through the years. Like, there's a very big debate on whether to use arrows, that kind of being comfortable with the documentation allows you to grow in that maturity of trying to understand the whole design concept of the language and the architecture, as opposed to just implementing the code and it works, and maybe there's a better way of doing something. So yeah, the first thing for sure is the Python documentation, and then two is like your coding environment. For me, I just recently got into Anaconda. Before, I was there struggling with PyEnv, and sometimes I don't know, like me, I'm like, I don't know, maybe you guys can tell me about it, but I'm a bit iffy about Anaconda. I've used Py environment, pipenv, Anaconda, and now I've moved into Docker, which is amazing, and I think we'll be having a session on that soon. That I definitely vouch for containerized environments. If something goes wrong, you just throw it out and start again. I would love to take you on a session with that on containers, Docker, and everything. And then your editor. I've just been using PyCharm only because it has a lot of nice plugins that have that you enable to enforce the correct coding styles, and you can be able to update even the PEP plugins and the ones that finish your code. What is it called? Like autocorrect? No, I don't know. As in, there are those plugins that really help you write your code professionally. So PyCharm for me is one of the things that I would recommend. And then we have Jupyter Notebooks. Jupyter Notebooks are really nice because you're able to present your work in a usable way and share it. It's very portable, and also it's very easy for when you're presenting to clients, or when you're presenting to someone different from your team. It's very easy to port your code. And also Jupyter Notebook works well with most container environments. So it really makes it easy to just export it to HTML, and then you can share it just to anyone, even people who don't have a coding environment like yours. That was the intro for the Python. I don't know if we have any questions before because I feel like it should be interactive. I feel like I'm talking to myself in my room. Should I move on?
Yeah, sure. Just move on. Yeah, I think we'll just have the Q&A session at the end. It's okay.
Yeah. I feel like you feel like you're talking to yourself, right?
Yeah, it happens, especially with this COVID stuff.
I think maybe when you should just be there just to say yeah, okay. So now we are going into, okay, so who uses Python? Like I mentioned to you, I feel like everyone uses Python, or everyone who's trying to get into what is this called, into Python, into programming generally. It's a very easy, rich kind of language. Most people get into Python as hobbyists and then take it up now professionally, and that's for me one of the things that was important to my presentation, was on how you can be able to use Python and enforce professional standards as you could as you do your hobby programming and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Koya has said it's code LinkedIn. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. Code completion, code LinkedIn, prepaid guidelines. That's on the PyCharm, by the way. So yeah, so biz dev uses it, data scientists uses it, software engineers, even data analysts, automation scripts. We're going to have a session, I think, later on QGIS and Python scripting and all that. So it's definitely for everyone. And then now we're here. We're as in Python is for everyone. And so what about Python in GIS or Python in geodata science or spatial data science, however you want to call it? So in my experience, one of the things that I've been able to gather, or well, for me personally, I like keeping things simple. And what I can say for Python in spatial data science is that it's mainly used for data managing. That is data manipulation, cleaning your data in preparation to apply whatever scripts or whatever algorithms you want to apply on. So one of the most important aspects about Python that you would need to understand in preparation for like your spatial data science work, it's just the same as if you are just doing it in Python anyway, is that you have a fair understanding of the data types and data infrastructure, and also how those particular objects consume memory and how you're able to optimize for memory, whether it's like memorizing some of your functions for, like, if you're looping through, like if you have like a particular function that you applied to a huge part of your data set iteratively, there's some parts of it that you can be able to memorize, or you can be able to, if you're doing searches, when do you know to use a map or a lambda function, or to filter. So for me, it's for data science specifically, is that the data sets are huge, and most of the efforts that have gone into using Python have been in optimizing my Python scripts to use memory conservatively, and also like just uh, speeding up your script. And the main data structures, data types that are used in most of the work that is done in spatial data science is usually point data. So you'd mostly be working with a GeoPandas or a Pandas data frame that I'm very sure if you've just worked with native Python, you'll be very familiar with it. And also it's very something that's very much used in the data science community. The only difference between the pandas and the GeoPandas is GeoPandas is an extension of pandas, and pandas is like a table format data frame that allows you to apply different functions on the data set very easily, and it's a favorite of data scientists and statisticians and everything. And GeoPandas then in itself, it handles the what is it the geographic aspect of our data sets. When we have latitude and longitude, it takes into account that those geometry types that are native to GIS, whether it's a polygon or multi-polygon, line, multi-line, and such the like. Some of the main analysis work that's done with Python is, I would say, mostly like regression like work. There's geographically weighted regression models, spatial autocorrelation analysis that you can do global and local. Can delve in this later when it's a more spatial data science kind of discussion, and also like spatial interpolation and all of that, which all of these algorithms are available also in R. So when I was talking about Python specifically for data science, the main focus would be on the data managing, data manipulation, and what what aspects of Python can you take advantage of to be able to handle your data set conservatively and to be able to optimize your scripts to take into account large data sets. Then the other thing I just wanted to introduce, because I don't think I was supposed to touch on this today, was on PySpark. So I've been working recently with what it was. Okay, so one of the recent projects I worked on was working with a huge data set of about 1.3 billion, 1.2, 1.3 billion data points, and how you're able to apply, for example, if you're trying to apply like clustering, or you're trying to apply like HDB scan or k-means, all those kind of clustering, it's very comfortable for you to load a CSV that's like 100, 200 rows, and then you can be able to apply whatever you want in whatever functions you want to do your analysis. But then once your data set goes to, it's in the 48, 30, 85 gigs, and you need to apply the same algorithms at once, you kind of have to now move away from Python and see how do you take advantage of the very well mature developed analysis functions, but then apply it at scale. So that's why we'll be covering about how Python can still be used, but in a distributed computational environment setup. That's most of the work. That's the main ideology behind the workaround of using Python as a big data analysis language, so to speak. And the key disadvantage over here is that okay, this is specifically on PySpark, is that it allows us to interface with the what okay, I'm just the distributed kind of infrastructure, the what people are calling resilient distributed data set infrastructure, that allows you to use Python to send the same commands as you would like in a normal Hadoop environment or Apache or such kind of infrastructures. They necessitate you to use Java to run your scripts, or to do your parallel processing, or design your script to work in a parallel processing mode. So the main things I want to highlight to you, I'm still learning about this, but the key takeaways that I would like to highlight to you is that you have your normal Python script, and there's like three main things that you need to understand to be able to import easily into to making your script be enabled for parallel computing. You understand the environment you want to implement it in, and the data type that you're using with. So for example, like in a normal standalone script that I'd be using like to test a subset of my data set, I'll be using normal pandas data frame. But then when I'm trying to do it now in computing in like a PySpark environment, I'll now just change all my data types to Spark data frames, which are like, they're like almost the same thing as pandas data frames. And then how you are able to just implement your functions as user-defined functions in PySpark. The experience I've had with this particular area is using Databricks, and so I mostly would be talking about it from a specific vendor kind of infrastructure environment. I've not done my own standalone hosting, but but if anyone is familiar with that, I would love to learn more about that. So yeah, I had more, but I think we can just stop there. Very quickly before I leave, I would like to talk about Women in GIS. Women in GIS, we are an organization in Kenya that we promote innovation in the geospatial industry in Kenya, and I hope some of you have heard about us. And the main part of the main JD of our of our organization is to promote geospatial technologies and innovation in East Africa, and specifically to address vulnerable group issues. This Wednesday, we have a GIS Day that is focused around innovations that have been worked around the SDG5 area, which is on gender gap issues. If you're interested, please go to our Eventbrite. I will send the link here if you're interested to sign up and hear what we've been doing. Yeah, just reach out to me and you can ask me about this later on. So I think I'll stop there in the interest of time. I've taken 15 minutes, I think, so that the other 15 minutes would roll over to the Q&A. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, definitely it's interesting, and that you also talked about Price Park. Yeah, definitely the practicals will be on, I think it's session 7, if I'm not wrong, like some weeks later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, you pretty much covered.
In that session, yeah. And in that session, we'll hopefully look at how we have a standalone script and how we can write it so that it can run, even like in your own small node setup, how it can run in parallel, so that even if you're not doing it in a vendor environment, but you understand the principles of how you can parallelize your code, how you can optimize it to be more memory efficient, whether it's using Lambda functions, whether it's using memorizations, map reduce kind of functions. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Great.
it from me.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Then again, yeah, we'll dive into. Yeah, this is really interesting, especially for people who want to go into data science and data engineering stuff. I think they share the same goal. You dealt with tons of data sets, 1.3 billion. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I can show you that a bit, maybe if you.
Sure. Yeah.
No. Time is.
During the discussion,
I
let us
would.
see what Hosea covers. Then during the discussion, yeah, I can share it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hosea, are you there?
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you a lot, Nambu, for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking for.
Okay, first
Did we just lose? Oh, Hosea, yeah. Take it over. Yeah, sharing is enabled. Whichever approach you want, it's okay.
did you get me clear?
Hosea, I think I audio so low. Or I'm the only one not getting him.
What about now?
Oh, yeah, sure. Now it's fine.
Good, great.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I would like to thank the previous presenter, that is Nombu, for that very nice, insightful presentation. And then I think I'll just delve into what I will cover, that is use of Python in software development, specifically developing geospatial applications. So in this area, I'm going to just be brief and to the point to the things that I did, and maybe run a few codes or two. I didn't prepare a slide because I think this should be like a more interactive session, showing the people what goes where and what is written where, so that you can have that GIS up and running. So the GIS app that I just made, a simple one that just a replica of what a backend is. So in the Django tutorial that I'm going to share out, or rather in the Django app that I'm going to share out, is a REST framework, is a GIS REST framework that helps people to just keep track of each visit, how many people or other tourists have visited a particular town in Kenya. So as it was mentioned earlier, Python can be used, is a general purpose programming language, and it can be used to do numerous tasks. So in Django, in Django, there is a framework that is also called GeoDjango. And this is the framework that helps us to make Python applications that are GIS centric. So whenever we want to make a GIS centric, that maybe we want to do some GIS analysis and we want an app that maybe collects data and also utilizes data from the Postgres database, then one of the frameworks that we can use is GeoDjango. Is Django, and inside it that is called GeoDjango. It is used to doing that. The first things that to do, project my screen right now. Just the first things that what someone to get up and running with Django is first you need to install. You need to first you need to install Python, and then the next thing that someone needs to do, you after you have installed Python, you need to also install this thing called library. It's called there's a library called it's not actually a library, it's a piece of software, GDAL. You must have GDAL installed in your system so that you can perform some geospatial so that Python actually uses GDAL as its base for implementing geospatial analysis. So once you have GDAL installed and you have Python installed, then you are ready to get up and get started in making geospatial apps with the Python. So I have these. I think I'm having trouble navigating. I want to stop sharing this screen so that let me share. Just sorry for that. Okay. So just as I had mentioned earlier, once you have installed GDAL, that is once you have GDAL installed, then okay. So once you have GDAL installed, you can proceed and start making Python app. I'm just going to have run us into the process of installing or start.
Okay, you're losing your voice again.
Oh, sorry. So I'm at the point of once you have already installed GDAL, then and you have already installed Django, Python, then you can get started off in making your Python applications. Just a minute again. So I'm here. You need to install. I'm using Ubuntu. You need to install GDAL so that we can get started. Yeah. So yeah, one can use this. I think I can just share it through the in the present in the chat.
Sure.
I'll share them out in the chat maybe at a later when you're doing the Q&A. So you need to install GDAL first, and then you can install Python. repo for installing Python. I'm assuming that you're working on boot. That is why I'm just writing this stuff here. So you can install, once you have GDAL installed, you should go ahead and install Python on Ubuntu using any of the repos that will work out for you. Then I always used virtual environment for separating my environments when I'm working with Python. So you can also, after installing Python, you should also virtual. These things, they're just available. They're just available on the web. In case you encounter an error, you should just reach out, and a guide will be given out to you so that you can get off the trouble that you're having. So once you have those three things installed, that is Python, GDAL, and virtual env, then you can get started to work out tasks that you want to do. So in this case,
Hosea, you've kind of lost you. Your voice completely.
sorry. Okay, now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you keep coming and breaking. Yeah, so it seems you've got an audio issues.
Okay. I think my mic is quite bad, but I think this will sustain me. Can everybody see now my screen? Because I just want to run through it very fast, and then we can
Yeah,
see.
sure. Your screen is visible.
I am. So the first thing that let me just close everything that I have here. So assume we are making this app that is called Analyze Kenya, that is helping people to keep track of visits that are coming into a town. So you just go and say Django admin, you start your project, and you call it Analyze Kenya. And then it will create a directory that is called that name. So under that directory, I won't run, if I run this, I'll run into an error. So in that directory, there will
Hosea,
be
I
this.
think you'll have to
Yes,
unshare and reshare your screen because right now we are still on the web browser about installing Python. I think there's a lag or something has happened. Yeah.
sorry. Let me stop sharing and then start again. Okay, I believe now we are together at the same page. Can
Let's wait and see.
someone confirm that we are viewing? There's a VS Code IDE that is displayed.
Still think Hosea share of screen, so let's see. I think it's maybe internet lag or something.
Nobody else can view my screen.
Anybody can confirm, because for me, I'm just seeing Hosea's issue.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Today, the stuff is failing us.
I think there's some problems. Thing.
It's not working.
I don't.
Okay. Yeah. I think what we can do, improvise and let's see. We can just maybe talk about the tech stack, and then we can have a specific day for Python and for Django. Just quick demo of Django and Flask probably. If if there's still complications, yeah, we can always improvise. We are never running away.
Thing is not working. I'm trying to share and share and share again, but it seems like there's nothing going on.
Yeah, this is expected on presentation at times. Things go wrong. Okay.
I think maybe we can just move on. Maybe.
Sure, we
It's so
can.
bad.
Yeah, we can have a session specific time, and maybe also that time Steve will be around because also for him it's not here. Yeah, but yeah, we'll try to have a day for protocol. Do you have Collins is suggesting maybe you could close some tabs if you have many.
Sorry, Bonnie, what have you said?
Oh no, I was thinking what Collins was commenting down here. Maybe you could close some tabs. Don't know what Collins means. I think there are so many tabs or what. I think Collins, it's more of an internet issue, probably on their side. I'm not sure, but that's what I suspect. I believe it's the internet is causing the lag. Jose, are you speaking? We're not getting you.
Okay. What now? Is it visible?
It's just saying
No.
no.
No, it's crazy. I can't understand this. I'm really trying hard here. Everything is because on my part, I'm even testing the internet, pinging different domains, but
Okay.
share screen.
Are you giving it another try?
Let me just give it the last try so that you can see. will work. There's nothing yet.
Nothing.
Pondi, this is
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think the best approach, we can always improvise. We can always set a specific time, then you just say, okay, this time we'll cover Django and Django
okay.
specifically so that we, hopefully it will be well then. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Fine. Really sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay, yeah, it would be good since you are going to do it hands-on and demo and stuff. But it's okay. Okay, there will be a time for them. It's okay. Yeah, we can kind of explain, or I can still. And I remember I also have an article on Django and stuff, so we can just talk about it. And then next time you just do the practical bit of it. Okay. So.
okay, Pondi, think we can just have it for another day because I don't see any success that is coming out from this.
Okay, sure. Yeah, yeah, but I can. Okay, we can talk about it. Let me just can go to discussion. Okay. So guys, this is sadly we've encountered a technical hiccup. So let us just readjust. I'm about to share a few things on there. Let me see. Okay, share screen. Also, you'll stop sharing your screen, right? Okay. Um, Screen. Okay, so it's right now it's more of an improvisation. Let us see. So that we just go into Q&A. We will cover the practical bits of that, but for someone usually interested in doing GIS with backend, it's not that complex because Hosea wanted to do a great demo, which I really appreciate, and just for improvisation and adaptation. Okay, I think I'll have to share this friend link. If someone actually try to write an article on tech, but sadly right now I'm so busy to even write one or to finish because I have so many pending. But yeah, it's I'm sharing a friend link so that you don't get a blogger. But so yeah, the Nombuyiselo talked about PySpark and also how it can be applied in various areas. So if you know Python concepts, the one of the key areas to start, you can just even decide to start with the GIS software engineering before going into even just being a software engineer without GIS. That's a choice one can usually make. And in Kenya, we tend to talk about spatial data infrastructures, but you haven't gotten to implement, especially in Africa in general, not only Kenya. And right now, when you create a platform or when you have data sets, it's good for it to be accessed on the web. So there's one not company, government that I really like, the Utah state in US. They're really doing great stuff. I think this is something one can usually consider, and it's something that you can also consider to do. If you attended the first meeting, you know these are the projects you want to do later on. You see, you can do the crash, accidents, and what to do visualization of this stuff. So to do that, you definitely need to have knowledge of like mostly database. Then backend, you can start with the Django. And Django is pretty straightforward. So for example, on this project, I was just doing mapping health facilities and then getting the nearest health facilities. So we talked about the process. I can advise you to go through if you are, so that when Hosea will be able to present next time, you can be able to have a quick grasp. And yeah, and then below here, after that, and blah blah, all the writings. The usual resources. Django girls usually do a great documentation. It's actually one of the straightest forward documentation in in getting started with Django. Okay, if you follow it, you'll be doing great. It's somewhere in this website, unless you Google Django girls, blah blah. I don't know. It's like yeah, this the Django tutorials. If in English, welcome. Yeah, they've got a great installation playlist so that yeah, they cover the various, if you're using Windows, OS, Linux, the various systems. It's one of the greatest documentations. Yeah, they've kind of covered so many things that can easily get you started if you're interested, and it won't take you long to pick up. Then here I kind of share the Python, which I told you to run the core. Then you can usually learn Django, and then Django REST. So Django by its own is just like a backend, and you can also build static website like the front end. So when you know, like for example, Facebook, when you're putting the login and see the interaction, that's the front end. The backend is usually where the things happen, the data, the things that you don't see. Interaction with the database, if you upload an image, it stores the image somewhere, and such kind of stuff. So Django is super good for that. Yeah, and you can always check this out. There was a proper layout. Then Wanjoy, definitely a great guy. He has done some tutorial in Django, so it's great to watch. Yeah, and since we're in the eras of REST API just means you provide a data endpoint. Because when you build the backend, so that someone else can create whether the person is creating mobile, iOS, Android, or desktop apps or web apps, they can consume your API. And basically that's it. Like these accidents, they come from the database, and there's a backend to bring it to the front end. Then there's someone who designed the front end. So yeah, we'll kind of discuss this thing. And another framework that Steve wanted to talk about, also super easy. So Django is more like has so many things, but the easiest one is called Flask. And Flask is also great. It's when you want to build simple, easy to build solutions, you can easily find tutorials. We'll try to share links on this. So, for example, I usually tell and also data scientists, now they tend to use Flask or machine learning engineers. Uh, so, for example, let me say you work in what is the biggest supermarket chain right now in Kenya? Because I know Nakumatt collapsed, Tuskys is going under. No, we can use Naivas. Okay. So you're a data scientist, you want to help Naivas expand, you're a special data scientist, you want to help Naivas expand its outlets, or which other supermarket chain? Okay, I think that's the one that I can remember now. But yeah, so when you do the analytics and you factor in location, population, maybe value, salary, average, so that kind of that is tough to get in Kenya. But I'm just giving an example, yeah, because in develop it's also it's kind of easier. But you get the point, like spending habits and something like that. Okay. So when you do your data science stuff, and okay, say okay, you recommend the supermarket chain to expand here and here, maybe to open a store here. That one will just be used, you can easily use Python or R, which we'll cover later. But now imagine you want to build a model that, for example, for highest price prediction, you want to build a model to predict house prices in Nairobi, okay? And you factor in the location, the word, the distance to big malls, right, and stuff. So when you put this thing, you want to visualize this as a map. You will be creating a REST API or an endpoint so that it will be integrated in our website, so that other guys can be able to use. So, for example, when I want to buy a building or a building in Karen, then I can know, okay, this is the price, or this, or even if I want to sell, this will be the ideal price, okay, based on the data. So for that, you will need to know about Flask or this Fast API, but Flask is still more popular. Right now, there are so many tools, but yeah, Django, Flask. The third most popular is usually Fast API. But not to confuse you, just stick with Django if you want to do backend. If you want to go into backend engineering, if you want to consider yourself machine learning engineer, building a solution, even building a machine learning or data science concept that you want the public to use. Like for example, highest price prediction, that's for the public. When you're doing analytics in supply chain, or to expand, or for Naivas to expand, that one doesn't need the public to use. That's internal. That you can easily do without using Flask or Python or Django. You can easily do with R or just the core Python. But when you're building something for production, you can look at Flask and Fast API. This is also great. It's a super fast Python backend. Yeah, I think we'll have to have specific days for this kind of stuff, because we have got people are using it in the group, so we'll have to schedule that. That's what the difference. Mainly, I can say with if you consider yourself data scientist, and I can say machine learning engineer, yeah, you build things for production. That's what like machine learning is, kind of, yeah. It's cross, they lay over each other, machine learning engineer and data scientists. I think it depends on what you really do, but yeah, it's almost the same, but that towards different end goals. Machine learning engineer, you tend to also know kind some software engineering and building for production, creating some pipelines and stuff. Yeah. Okay, I think I will just do a discussion and yeah, and then call it a day. So the floor is kind of open. Sorry for the challenges, but yeah, it's part of life. So this gives us another day. Okay, anyone can give it a shout out or a question or something. Just feel, even if you have a question on a specific domain you're interested to go into, and you need to know about specific tools and where to get them and stuff, or how to get started. Feel free to ask. The floor is open for discussion. Or if you have something to share, yeah, just give it a head.
I think Collins has asked on someone quickly on dash plotting and folium. Well, I can say for folium it's pretty simple. They like if you're familiar with Jupyter Notebooks, it has a very easy plugin with Jupyter Notebooks, and you can be able to just like implement it very quickly. I don't know who has experience. I've had experience with just importing the Folium library in my Jupyter Notebook and just use it for a bit of visualization, but not full web building.
Uh-huh.
So maybe someone can speak on that.
So it's between Folium. I'm trying to share the screen. I don't know where my message tab is, but you said the colleagues has asked about Folium and Plotly. Number
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
So the
Can
thing,
you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can. So Collins, I think the thing with Python is it has got so many stuff, so many exciting resources and whatnot. So it usually boils down to, does one meet your needs? So for me, basically, I've done mostly just basic stuff with with Folium or Portly, just like Nombu. So it usually depends on like what do you really want to visualize, and just check the documentation if that is covered. That's the best approach. Because even right now there's a trending one called Streamlit. I think it's also, if I'm not wrong, it's
Let me.
also what?
I can do a quick demo on Folium.
Oh yeah, sure.
I've just.
I'm letting you share the screen, right? Let me give you the access. So there are more data visualizations happening, trending. It's like a huge trend right now, and that's the funny thing about Python, right? It's got so many libraries that tends to be confusing. I'm just stop sharing for you to share. Yeah, there.
Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes,
Can you see my
it's
screen?
loading. Yeah, sure.
So guys, I'll send you my Docker container. You can be able to play around with Folium. I just downloaded from my Docker page. I'll send the link here. But very basic. For me, the one thing that's good, I think I've also installed Dash here. I'm not sure. I'll have to confirm. But I've just pulled up an old script I have for Folium. For Dash and Folium, if you want lightweight visualizations and you're not visualizing too like a lot of data, maybe say not more than 1,000 rows, so to speak, or data points or something like that. Folium is really good. It's very lightweight and it's the best for just like quick visualization when you're just trying to understand how your data is mapping out. So like I mentioned to you, if I just quickly touch on Folium, the easiest way to visualize with Folium, and this is not for a web application, this is for more of your own like what we call spatial exploration. That initial thing, exploratory data
Analysis.
yeah when you're trying to just have a feel of how your data is about. So the easy ways to visualize it is either using a GeoPandas data type or using a GeoJSON object. So like I can mention to you here, if you just see this script, they're just, I have Folium and GeoPandas. And over here I was just managing I was putting some of my data into a data frame. Or I took a data frame, it imports a data frame, and then outputs it as a GeoJSON. And then from there, the main gist of it is how you set up your base map, which is basically you just call Folium and the center coordinates. You call Folium map and the center coordinates of that particular place you want to show, and then the zoom level. Alafu from the from there you will attach your base map. You'll attach your base map to be able to read your JSONs. So you just attach the geometries of your JSON basically, and then over here I was doing some other visualizations, like I was like making it more like I wanted a different style of my base map. What else? I was trying to do color fields into for my particular JSON object. And yeah, as in basically before I passed the GeoJSON to the base map, I was doing some other customization. But the basic principle is you set up the base map, which is M, Folium, and then map, and then you define your center coordinates and the zoom level, and then after that you pass to it the GeoJSON, which is the same thing that you happen here. So the result is this. Mostly I would put it as a HTML because I can just view it on the screen. But like I mentioned, if your data is heavy, like you see, this was just a shape, right? Data is heavy. It's not very useful for like, Okay, maybe I feel like there are some other optimizations, but yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question. I hope I have. Yeah. And if you're interested in playing around with these libraries, there's a lot of libraries. You can just download my container and pull it up. And this is how you do it, in case you need to play around with it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Nombuyiselo. Yeah, someone could also touch on Dash, plotting, and Folium. If Dash is compatible with Jagasan. Yeah, actually, both of them are compatible. It just depends with if one meets your need and how it performs based on your needs.
The dash plotly when you're setting up like when you're setting up the script for the Docker container, it was having issues with the version compatibility of the iJupyter kernel. So not so sure how friendly it is in older versions of Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. I don't know. It's not compatible with all versions. That's one of the principal reasons why I've not used it so much.
Okay.
But it's very powerful.
Thank you for the insights. Okay. Anybody else with a question? Or anything on any technology before we call it a day?
No.
Seems everyone is okay, so okay, then we can call it a day. Thank you for attending. Yeah, but definitely you can usually do a follow up on the WhatsApp group. Yeah, if you have got any question, if you don't want to talk here or you are not sure, then you can always ask. Okay, so yeah, we will be saying bye. So bye to you all.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me. If you have any questions on some of I know I've really covered basic on some of the things that I talked about, but hopefully I'll be able to expand it more into a full demo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, during the practical for PySpark, it will be more clear to people.
Yes, and sign up for our GS Day Women GS. I've shared the Eventbrite if you're
Awesome.
interested
Yeah,
in
you can also
following.
share in the WhatsApp.
Yes, we also have some very exciting projects coming up with Carto, so watch our space, please.
Okay.
Continue being part of this. Pondi, thank you so much for organizing this.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, and welcome and thanks also for participating. Hosea, we'll fix that mess and do it next time.
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully,
That is,
yeah.
I was about to appeal for that. Thank you. If
Definitely,
you
it will be
consider,
covered. It will be covered. I'll put a specific day for you. It's okay.
okay, thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks
Bye all.
everyone for everything. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Brian, Hosea, and Norms for your presentation. Goodbye for me.
Okay. Bye.